Welcome to the Kitchen of Chaos. We are making Caldo de Res today. So this is some guajillo chilies that I have boiled for about 15-20 minutes and then let them sit in some water. They smell really good. They smell kind of like dried fruit and raisins and stuff. And I'm thawing chuck roast. You're supposed to use oxtails or any other kind of tough meat for this. But I'm going to use chuck roast because that's what I have. And we're going to brown it, put some onions and garlic in there, and then let it simmer for a long time till it gets really tender. And then we'll put we'll blend up the chilies and continue from there. Say that again. Jinx, 1, 2, 3.
Jinx, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You owe me a hamburger. 6, 7, 8. You call me a hamburger.
You call me a hamburger. So I'm going to brown this chuck roast. First, and then we'll put some garlic and onions in there. Alright, so the beef's getting a little brown. I'm going to throw in some onions and some garlic. I'm going to chop that up first. And I would use, like, maybe for this much I would use 3 or 4 onions, but I don't have them, so I'm just going to use what I have. And let it, then we'll just barely cover the meat with water and maybe put in some Mexican seasoning and oregano and let it simmer for an hour and a half or 2 hours till it's tender. So rather than use water, I used the soaking liquid. See how that's going to work this time. So we'll add a little bit more water, but then just simmer it for a couple hours. Alright, so it's been about an hour and 20 on that. I'm going to let that go for another hour, I guess. And I'm going to put some garlic and a tomato in this blender with the chilies. So I'm going to use fresh water this time. Last time I made it with the soaking liquid, and it turned out kind of bitter, and then I've researched it a little bit, and pretty much everybody who's actually Latino says don't use the soaking liquid because it turns out bitter, so they use fresh water to blend it. So I may have already ruined that with the putting the soaking liquid in the beef, but I've tasted the broth and it tastes good, so I guess that'll be okay. But this time I'm going to try clean water in the chilies and blend that up. Alright, so now you need to strain this through a fine mesh strainer because it has all of the those leathery, papery husks from the chilies in there. Excuse me while I whip this out. And this is actually a little more watery than I would have liked. I put too much water in. Maybe that tomato fooled me too, but we'll cook it down a little bit. And since we're making caldo de res, it doesn't really matter if it's brothier than normal. And that's pretty much the basic caldo de res. It's just beef and chilies and potatoes. And you can obviously put whatever you want in there. A lot of traditional caldos have tons and tons of vegetables in there, like, you know, I don't know, any vegetable you can think of. Zucchini, cabbage, carrots, corn, celery. And I might do like half of it with that, but I want to leave half of it just the pure beef and potatoes and chili flavor. So anyway, we'll see. We'll strain that and get it simmering under some oil, on some oil. Okay, change of plans. After I finished straining this, there was a lot of about a cup, I guess, of chili skins and I guess it's the seeds. I have a Vitamix and it blended up the seeds really well, so strain that through my really fine mesh strainer. I guess it's really fine, and so I'm just going to use all of this liquid for the soup. I'm not going to try to use it for 2 things, so not this time. So, forget what I said. Anyway, this is kind of basically like tomato sauce consistency this time, which I think will be fine. I'm still going to kind of simmer it. Actually, you know what? I'm going to have to simmer it with the potatoes anyway, so I'm just going to leave it like this until the beef is done. Then I'll just strain the beef broth and put it in here with the potatoes and the meat, and then simmer it for about 20 minutes or so until the potatoes are done. And we'll add water if we need to. Alright, let's try that. Okay, it's been about 2 hours simmering. I didn't bother to strain the beef. I figured, what's the point? So, it's supposed to be farm style, right? So, I figured I'd leave the little bits of stuff in there and leave the flavor. It's tender, so. And I'm going to put some potatoes in there and let it simmer for about 20 minutes until they're done, and then it should be ready. So, let's try that. So there is the final product. Let's taste it. Cut the meat with a spoon. Oh yeah. Try not to burn myself. That is so good. Well, I didn't like it very much. That's all I could eat. See you next time on the Kitchen, okay, y'all?